So not too long ago, I made a video on this channel, or actually I guess it is kind of a long time. It's been a while. So a while back, I did a video on this channel, which I really enjoyed making. Holy crap, to date, it is the most edited video I've ever made, and mostly it was sound effects. So let's do it again, shall we? So what I want to do is pull up the Jazza's Arty Game app, like an app by absolutely one of my favorite YouTubers that is not designed for this. It's designed for making art, like from prompts, and engaging your creativity. Well, we're gonna be creative in a different way. We're gonna be creative with words. Imagine that, words on a writing channel. See, the thing is that if you search for writing on YouTube, you are going to have so many wonderful, very, very strong authors that are going to be able to teach you a lot of things, a lot of tips. And I have plenty of those tips here on my channel, basically just from learning from my own mistakes. But I think we can do more. I think we as a writing community can do more. And so this is my part here where I would challenge any other writing YouTube channels. If you want to join me in this fun exercise of coming up with a story from a prompt from Jazza's app, let's do it. Like, leave down in the comments below if you're doing that. Even if you're not a writing channel, if you're just gonna use this app, if you're gonna use the app and come up with a story, and if you're gonna post it anywhere, let us know. Tell us in the comments down below what you're gonna do, because I'm really excited to see what happens, because I have so much fun with this. So essentially what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the app to pick 2 characters and a setting. We'll kind of go from there. In the last video, I did a Twitter poll to pick the genre. I think for this one, we'll just stick with just the app itself and maybe in the future involve Twitter. For now, let's pull up the app and see what we get. Okay, so we're gonna first select single games, go with the character challenge, and we're going to see what is our first character that we're gonna get for this new writing challenge. It will be a failed superhero that is covered in dust with a weapon in place of their hand. So I mean, what are there any failed superhero? Are there any Edward Scissorhands? No. This could be interesting. This could be a really interesting prompt. Not sure where I'm gonna go with it yet. No ideas are percolating just yet. It has to be a weapon. What kind of weapon? Okay, all right. So that's our first character, is a failed superhero that is covered in dust. What? How am I going to? Could it be sawdust? A chainsaw? A chainsaw hand and the dust is sawdust? Okay. Let's see. Next, we're gonna go on to the next character. All right, so the next character is going to be a really tall old man wearing a torn dress, reading a magazine in the waiting room for the dentist. For the dentist. Okay, the magazine and the dentist will make sense. Why is the dress torn at the dentist office? Okay. Could it be, is it related to the first character? Might be more than the dress that's torn though. You know what? Let's move on. We've got our 2 characters. We just need our setting. Please give us something good in the setting. Something that'll work with these 2 characters. We're gonna go over to the environment challenge, and this will be how we select our setting. The environment, or the setting in this case, is going to be, okay, it's an intergalactic starship that is rainy and features a burnt tree. An intergalactic starship that is rainy and features a burnt tree. Burnt tree be like lightning? Did the burnt tree be like lightning? I mean, it's a good, Huh, so we're obviously we're gonna be in a sci-fi setting. Okay, so we have our characters, we have our setting. Now, all that's left is to write the thing. And in the last video, I did a whole montage of that. We're just gonna skip right through it, and we'll get you right to the story right now using the power of editing. Enjoy. Gornit leaned back in the chair. It squeaked beneath him, drawing the ire of half the lobby. Disapproving glares cast his way for the sheer audacity to be anything but a fucking statue. Cold eyes nestled in wrinkled faces, daring him to do it again. Move just a little. Breathe, for fuck's sake. One particular sod lingered, a man at least twice his height and half his girth. He wore a pretty floral patterned yellow sundress that would have been short on someone half Gornit's height. On this man, it acted more like a t-shirt, exposing several more inches of the elderly man's upper thighs than Gornit had ever intended to see. Though he had to admit, for someone so well traveled, they were quite a bit more toned than he would have expected. Bet you'd keep your eyes to yourself if you knew who the hell I was, Gornit said. Shh, the older man said, leering down at him from behind one of those ubiquitous magazines. This one emblazoned with the title, Drilling for Gold, Dentistry in the 31st Century. Gornit shook his head and rolled his eyes so hard he saw his past, future, and present. Who the fuck reads a magazine about dentistry in a dentist's office anyway? This asshole, apparently. Thunder crackled overhead, reverberating across the atrium of the large common-use deck of the USS WHY. It signaled the passing of another hour, working as the de facto clock for the massive passenger cruiser. Why they couldn't just use a bloody bell made little sense to Gornit, but few things did since the incident and his subsequent forced retirement on this godforsaken heat. Oh no, someone said behind him, gasping and pointing out the large storefront windows at the massive tree that dominated the center of the atrium. Gornit heard the screams before he saw the smoke. Panic rippled and spread. Perhaps it was the screams that called to him. Perhaps it was the stupid smug look on the elderly man's face. Fucking twat goblin. But Gornit knew he had to act. I'll remind him, Gornit said, hauling himself out of his chair. Everything creaked. His body this time, not the chair. The former hero cracked and stretched, casting one more scornful glare back at the elderly man who was staring slack-jawed out the window, the magazine hanging loosely from his wizened fingertips. With a smirk, Gornit hurried out of the office. There were only a few steps between the storefronts and the tree. The arbor behemoth was the pride of the station. Its trunk at the base was at least as large as a small house, and it curled and spiraled upward in beautiful natural forms. Dark brown branches broke off in several directions, just above the 7th deck of the atrium, the highest deck of the cruiser storefronts that primarily housed upscale dining. It was up there where the tragedy had struck. Flames licked at the ancient manicured branches, consuming the wood and leaves. It had already jumped to several branches, tearing through the dry interior with abandon. The fire was quickly getting out of control, with smoke billowing up and collecting on the glass ceiling, obscuring the stars. The dentist's office, where Gornit was on the 2nd floor. If he was going to do anything about it, he had a long way to go. A glance toward the elevator showed just how useless that would be. People were rushing out of them, causing panic pileups on the floor. Elsewhere, more citizens ran about screeching. It was a bloody mess all around. Just like old times, Gornit said, watching a 4-legged man with purple skin continuously trip over his limbs in panic. Gornit shrugged and cracked his shoulders again. He glanced down, rolling his tongue against the back of his teeth as he eyed the extension on his arm. Would he even turn on? It had been decades since he'd tried, and ever since... Another scream broke his concentration, bringing his gaze up once more. Fuck it. With a grunt, Gornit reached over his body and grabbed the pull cord. He ripped it back and... nothing. He tugged again and again. Nothing. The chainsaw that had been fitted to his arm sat there, motionless, taunting him. With a growl, he hurled himself into climbing the tree. If the damn piece of shit wouldn't work, he'd have to do it manually. Old muscles creaked and strained. In years past, he would have damn near leapt the entirety of the ostentatious disaster. But those were the days of spandex and capes, not pain creams and yogurt to keep him regular. Still, it didn't take the former superhero long to traverse the gnarled branches. He alternated between climbing the trunk and leaping from one branch to the next until he reached the one just below the fire. It had spread to 3 places, 2 smaller branches and 1 thick one. Thankfully, it hadn't reached the trunk yet. Gornet hopped to the first of the 2 small branches. He reached down and grabbed hold. With a mighty swing, he brought down the inert chainsaw on the limb. The force, at least 4 times that of a normal human, smashed into the wood, taking out a large divot, but leaving it intact. He pulled back, let out a war cry, and hacked at it again. This time, the burning branch lurched, but still didn't break. Gornet's eyes drifted again to the dangling ripcord. Oh, how that little twat was taunting him. If he could just get it started, this would already be done. Bunch of horse shit. He brought his arm back once more and slammed it down with all his might. This third strike smashed through the branch, sending it and its flaming limbs down to land with a benign thud on the ground below. It wasn't perfect. It landed just to the side of the water feature he'd been aiming for, but it worked. 1 down, 2 more to go. Gornet leapt to the second branch, about the same size as the last. This one he made even shorter work of, cleaving it in 2 swings. The result was better, too, as it landed with a satisfying splash in the reflection pool, dousing the flames. His accomplishments were short-lived, though, as he looked up toward the final branch. It was at least 3 times the thickness of the others. Fuck, you're a girthy bastard, aren't you? He had to try, though. There weren't any other options. If he didn't sever the burning branch, the whole tree would go up, and with it, potentially catastrophic damage to the ship. With a growl, he hurtled up to the branch and went to work, strike after strike, leaning into the labor. His arm wavered and his lungs stung from the exertion. He wasn't used to this anymore, and his body was protesting. Chips of wood splintered and broke apart, leaving a thick V-notch in the limb, but it remained sturdy and unbothered by his efforts. Sweat trickled down his brow in such quantity he had to pause and wipe his face. Breathing was getting more difficult, adding to an already tough situation. Gornet looked down at the branch. The flames were approaching, faster than expected. They were devouring the old dry wood. The calculations weren't too difficult to figure out. At his current speed, there was no way he'd beat the fire. Now what, damn it? As if in answer, the ripcord swayed into the corner of his vision. Gornet growled, looking down at the notch, then to the voracious orange and red monster. Come on, you stubborn shit. Gornet grabbed the cord and pulled again. It stuttered, but didn't start. The heat was oppressive now. Gornet slumped back. He wasn't going to be able to do this. He leaned up against the trunk and watched the flames lick at the branch, defeated. Whose dumb shit idea was it to put a thunderstorm simulation around a fucking tree in a ship anyway? Gornet's eyes wandered down below. The crowd had gathered near the base, but his stare was drawn to the tall man in the dress. He still had the fucking magazine in his hand. What the hell, you ridiculous bastard? Drop the damn magazine! Who cares that much about dentistry, you smooth-brained shit? Gornet's muscles flexed, his anger boiling over at that fucker who'd shushed him. He ground his teeth and let out a growl that reverberated in his chest. He snatched the cord and pulled. The low rumble moved from his chest to his arm, and it took the old hero a moment to realize what had happened. The rusted teeth of the chainsaw roared to life. Gornet shook his head in disbelief, staring at it the moment before a hot wave blasted him in the face, reminding him of his purpose. He thrust the rotating blade into the thick branch. The metal teeth chewed through the wood, showering him with sawdust. The machine arm chugged away, ripping through the old wood, making quick work of the first few layers. The flames were just inches away now, and sweat poured down Gornet's arm, collecting and mixing with the sawdust and the rusted metal. A burst of heat made him wince and shy away, almost pulling back completely. "We believe in you, Super Shredder!" Someone yelled from below. Gornet looked down through a haze of heat. The intensity of the blade must be getting to him, because he could swear the one who'd spoken was the tall man in the dress, using the dentist magazine as a megaphone. What a weird fucking day. Gornet grunted and redoubled his efforts. The blades chugged to a halt, sputtering and giving out. Ah, damn it! Gornet growled and slammed his weight into the branch. Once, twice, thrice. The branch rumbled and cracked, then started to shudder. Break, you bastard! One more slam and the limb snapped. It and its furious flames tumbled down and away from the trunk. Aha! Who's retired now, you shitheads? Hornet's chest swelled with joy and triumph as he straddled the severed branch. The grin on his face threatened to touch from one ear to the next as he watched it tumble down towards the water. Then, it hit another branch, and another, and another. The flaming wood swirling and twirling its way down. The cheering crowd below had once more devolved into panic. Hornet's eyes widened and his brows knit together, the grin a distant memory. The flaming log slammed into the base of the tree. In short order, flames jumped to trimmed grass, manicured potted plants, and small trees, and of course, the huge trunk. Within just a few seconds, a massive fire was roaring down below. Well, shit. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some laughs. I hope you found it entertaining. I look forward to doing more of these in the future. If you did like it, please let me know by commenting down below, liking or subscribing, whatever you feel like doing. It'll help the channel out a ton, and I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for giving me the gift of your time today. I look forward to seeing you again. My name is Mark Moore. I am the author of Rise and Stand. You can find both of those books linked down below. Give them a try if you want. It's very different. It is. They are very different from that. Yeah, don't they're dark. Just be ready for that. But thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.